Hi everybody, my name is Carlin Stewart and I'm the instructional coordinator here at Los Luceros Historic Site. Today you will notice that I am not wearing my mask, and that is because I am the only person working outside today on the 148-acre property. So this will be the first video that looks at the fruit grown here at Los Luceros. Now, when you have 148 acres of land to manage, agricultural fields, animals, historic buildings, it is really nice to have a few things that can pretty much take care of themselves. That brings us to the topic of this first video, which is the mulberry tree. The mulberry tree is a really hardy plant. It can withstand things like drought and wind. It can be grown in full shade, partial shade, full sun. So we think it is a really valuable plant to have here on site. It produces a delicious sweet berry and provides a lot of shade, as you can see, as well as provides homes for birds to make their nests and animals to burrow in. One issue, however, is the female versions of these plants, like the one behind me, produce a lot of berries. So some people think that that amount of berries is a nuisance. Additionally, the male version of the plant actually produces a really potent pollen that a lot of people are allergic to. However, despite these, negative things, we really believe that these trees add not only a really nice aesthetic, but also provide us with really great berries that us and the wildlife get to enjoy. Here at Los Luceros Historic Site, we have quite a few mulberry trees actually. We have some really large, well-established trees like the one you saw earlier, some smaller trees that are still just as old, and we have a few various smaller ones throughout the site. There are three different types of mulberry trees. There's the red, the white, and the black. Unfortunately, however, the berry color doesn't actually indicate what kind of tree it is. For instance, the tree behind me grows white berries that turn a little black, and this tree behind me produces red berries that turn really dark black. They're very plump and juicy, whereas the other ones are smaller in size. White mulberry trees come from northern, eastern, and central Asia, and they are the primary species that are used to feed silkworms. Black mulberry trees are actually native to Southwest Asia, and they were brought to Europe before the Roman Empire, where they have continued to be used as fruit trees. And the red mulberry tree is actually native to the eastern United States. The plant is said to have many uses. Some indigenous groups in the southeastern United States used the berries to mix into cornbread, made dyes out of them, used branches and made beverages and dumplings and preserves and pies and jams and juice and wine. So it has been used for a lot of things throughout time. The wood can be used for fencing and furniture. And the red mulberry tree actually was a really important part of the Choctaw culture, who have an entire month devoted to the mulberry. That relatively corresponds to around May, and then textiles were actually made from the fibrous inner bark by the Choctaw. In 1733, General Oglethorpe brought 500 white mulberry trees to the then colony of Georgia. The intention, however, was not to enjoy the delicious berries, but actually to start an entire silk industry here in the United States, because the silkworm likes to feed on the white mulberry trees. In a book published in 1791, American naturalist William Bartram wrote that every landowner in the colonies in 1773 were actually required to grow white mulberries for the silk industry. The silk industry never actually ended up taking off, and now these white varieties are actually considered by some to be really invasive because they are out competing with the natural red mulberry trees. The mulberry trees here at Los Luceros Historic Site were reported to have been planted in the early 1900s when Abel Lucero built his family home here on the property. We call this the Victorian cottage. That would make these trees over 100 years old. The report actually states that Mr. Lucero remembers sitting under the shades of these trees when he was younger. Since these amazing and historical trees produce so many fruits, we decided here at Los Luceros to give it a go. So when you pick these berries, you can do one of two things. You can pick them off the branch, or you can shake the branch and pick them up from the ground. A couple things to remember here though when you are harvesting the mulberries is that one, some of them have the potential to really stain your hands. And it is always important to wash the fruits and cut off their stems before making your tasty treats. I myself made some hand pies, and the ranger here, Rebecca, she made a beautiful mixed fruit pie. We have decided that the fruit here are plump, juicy, and sweet and make delicious treats. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about the mulberry trees here at Los Luceros, and stay tuned to learn about the other fruit trees that we have here on site. Thank you.